Is Frieren Beyond Journey's End worth watching? In this video, I'm going to talk about everything I felt about Season 1. I literally just finished Season 1 less than a day ago, so everything is still fresh in my mind. Season 1 has 28 episodes, and Season 2 is coming out, but I'm waiting for the dub because I'm a dub watcher. This is my review of Season 1 and whether it's worth watching. I usually hate anime with super long beginning arcs. I actually tried starting this anime twice after seeing Season 2 was coming out and hearing how much people loved it. Both times, I couldn't get past the first episode. Later, I was scrolling on my TV, bought Crunchyroll for easier access, saw Frieren again, and decided to start from episode 2 since I had already seen the first. At first, I thought it was still kind of boring. I haven't been watching anime much lately, even though I run anime YouTube channels, and I really wanted to get back into anime, so I decided to just let it play throughout the day, come back to it whenever I could, and honestly force myself to watch it. And you know what happens to every anime fan eventually? You get hooked. I started watching it daily and finished the entire season in less than a week because it was that good. Frieren follows a long-lived elf named Frieren, who has lived for over 1,000 years. She was part of a powerful party that defeated the Demon King, although I wish the show explained how strong the Demon King actually was. After that journey ends, Frieren begins traveling again. She takes in a human girl named Fern, a purple-haired mage who was raised by a priest after being saved as a child. After the priest dies, Fern goes with Frieren and Frieren begins training her. One of the main issues early on is that Frieren doesn't fully take Fern's limited human lifespan into account, which causes tension between them. The early episodes are slower and more slice of life compared to what comes later. I'd say the first 10 episodes are mainly about traveling and setting up the characters, which plays much better once you've seen the stronger arcs later on. Eventually they meet a warrior named Stark, who I think is clearly meant to be Fern's love interest. I don't really mind him. At first I thought adding him would change the dynamic between Frieren and Fern a lot, but Fern adapts pretty quickly. Fern and Stark become friends, and they have a weird but obvious relationship, with Fern acting tough most of the time. They don't really give clear ages, except that Frieren is obviously over 1,000 years old. Fern and Stark seem to be around the same age, probably somewhere around 16 or 17. Stark comes from a warrior village that was attacked by demons. Everyone in his village died and he ran away, which makes him see himself as a coward. Frieren's former party had a warrior who trained Stark from a young age. They eventually got into a fight and split up. Frieren and Fern later visit the town Stark is staying in and are told to pick him up while passing through. Stark is living in a big city as a fraud. He's never actually fought a monster before, and Fern makes fun of him for it. When they finally face a dragon, Stark is terrified at first, but once Frieren and Fern force him to fight it, he defeats it surprisingly easily. After that, Stark officially joins them, and now we have the main trio. Stark is the warrior, and the show makes it very clear that he has massive potential. Fern is human, and while she doesn't have nearly as much mana as Frieren, she casts spells extremely fast and is naturally very strong. I'll talk more about her potential later. Frieren, on the other hand, is basically a Saitama level character. Throughout the entire show, we only really see one person who's stronger than her. The next major part of Season 1 focuses on demons. They arrive at a town where Frieren gets arrested for a reason I honestly don't remember. Fern and Stark are told that Frieren plans to stay there for 2 years, which doesn't mean much to her since she lives basically forever. While Frieren is locked in a cell, Fern and Stark are casually eating dinner. The town is protected by a massive magic barrier, and the town leader is secretly meeting with demons under the excuse of forming a truce. Frieren already knows demons can't be trusted and hates them because of her past experiences. While Frieren is imprisoned, one of the stronger demons decides to eliminate her, seeing her as a major threat. The demon kills the guards and confronts Frieren, mocking her for having little mana. He tries to kill her, but Frieren casually overpowers him and kills him instantly. Since demons turn to ash when they die, it looks like Frieren escaped and murdered the guards. Because of this, Fern and Stark are forced to deal with the remaining demons. Frieren refuses to step in, believing they're strong enough. Fern overwhelms her opponent with raw power, while Stark gets brutally beaten. Remembering his master's words to always get back up, Stark trades blow for blow, suffers serious injuries, and still manages to kill the demon. After that, they get ambushed again, and some of the demon's blood gets on them. One of the demon abilities lets them track and manipulate anyone whose blood they touch, kinda like Choso from JJK. Fern and Stark get pulled into this fight, and at first, it actually looks pretty rough. Fern eventually steps in and just overwhelms her opponent with raw power. That's basically her fighting style. She just starts blasting non-stop and doesn't give them room to breathe. Meanwhile, Stark is getting absolutely destroyed. He's getting beaten down, almost to the point of death, but he remembers what his master told him, "As long as you're still standing, you keep fighting." Stark realizes that the demon copying fighting styles doesn't actually hit as hard as it looks. So instead of backing off, he goes blow for blow, taking massive damage. He gets a deep wound to his side, plus a ton of other injuries, but he still manages to land the killing blow and defeat the demon. At the same time, Frieren is dealing with the strongest demon in the area, one that's lived for over 500 years and has been training that entire time. This demon commands an entire force, but Frieren is completely calm the entire fight, casually talking while cutting down guards and pushing forward. The demon uses an ability where whoever has more mana dominates the other, basically controlling the fight. Because the demon has an insane amount of mana, he assumes he's superior. What he doesn't realize is that Frieren has been suppressing her mana since she was young, using only a fraction of her true power. Demons judge hierarchy purely based on mana, so the demon completely underestimates her. Once Frieren stops holding back, she completely overwhelms him, wins the fight, and leaves the town. After that, I'm going to skip some parts. They eventually meet a priest who takes a long time to convince. He wants to go find his old friend who once invited him on an adventure, and after 10 years, he finally decides to go look for him. Personally, I didn't really like this part because it dragged on a bit too long for me. That said, the priest ends up being useful, especially as a healer, and the group's dynamic really shines here. Fern basically acts like the mom of the group, constantly getting annoyed at both Frieren and Stark, and honestly, it's fun to watch. A few episodes later, the priest leaves the group to continue his own journey, which is a little sad, but still works for the story. After that, they continue traveling and eventually reach the mage station for the first class mage exam. Fern wants Frieren to take the exam, but Frieren pulls out this ancient relic to show her rank, which Fern completely ignores. When they go to sign up, Frieren isn't even in the database. She ends up showing an extremely old certification, and one of the older officials recognizes it and allows her to join. They're placed into random groups, and from here, I'll speed things up. The first task involves splitting into groups and capturing an extremely fast bird that moves almost at the speed of light, meaning you either need specific magic to catch it, or you have to steal one from another team. For the first exam, killing is allowed straight up. No rules, you either win or you're out. Fern ends up teamed with this weird girl who straight up enjoys killing people and punches metal for fun. While that's going on, Fern's group gets pulled up on by some other mages who clearly think they're about to bully them. That doesn't last long. Fern instantly wipes one of them with zero effort. One of the other guys almost steals the bird using trapping magic, but Fern pulls up right in his face at supersonic speed like, "What are you doing to my teammate?" And that's it, he backs off. The bird stays with Fern's group. Frieren, on the other hand, gets paired with two mages who actually work really well together, even though they argue non-stop. Frieren casually fights an older mage and beats him without much effort, while the other two deal with a rock-type mage. Long story short, all of them pass the first test. The second test is a dungeon crawl. Everyone goes in at the same time, but nobody trusts each other, so Fern and Frieren stick together. One of the first-class mages even joins them, thinking it'll be an easy clear with Frieren around. Inside the dungeon, Frieren keeps getting stuck in mimic chests, which I thought was hilarious, while Fern just watches it happen. Meanwhile, other teams are getting destroyed. Some are barely surviving. The hardest part comes near the end when everyone meets at the final gate. The dungeon's real gimmick is revealed. Anyone who enters gets a perfect copy of themselves. Same abilities, same thinking, same power. That means the first-class mages are getting slaughtered by their own clones. Then Frieren has to fight a perfect copy of herself. Fern helps, but even then, it's not easy. Fern gets blasted away and her staff breaks, though it gets fixed later. Frieren actually needs help because she's fighting an exact equal, which says a lot about how strong she is. Eventually they manage to destroy the copy, but most of the other mages fail the exam here. The final test gets completely scuffed because Frieren being there messes everything up. So the ancient elf who created the exam steps in, Saria. She's lived way longer than Frieren and is clearly more powerful. Saria personally decides who passes. She fails Frieren not because Frieren is weak, but because she doesn't like how Frieren uses her life or her power. She thinks Frieren isn't living up to her full potential. Then Fern steps up. Saria immediately notices her mana and potential and even asks Fern if she's afraid of her power. Saria offers to take Fern as her apprentice, but Fern straight up refuses and says she already has a teacher, Frieren. Saria respects that and passes her anyway, and that's where season 1 ends. Going into this, I honestly thought this was just going to be another mid-magic anime or some slow slice of life fantasy, but it's actually really good. The story has meaning, the characters are strong, and Frieren's journey is genuinely interesting. So my final rating for season 1 is 8.3 out of 10. I watch a lot of anime, and for my first official rating, I didn't want to go too high or too low. I definitely recommend this show, especially for newer anime watchers. Let me know what anime you want me to rate next. Make sure to like and subscribe. Final verdict, 8.3.